Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another class of Criminal Procedure Code. Today, we are going to discuss about confessions under CRPC. Confession is an important aspect from the perspective of criminal procedure as well and from the perspective of Indian Evidence Act. So, we'll be discussing in detail the concept of confession, the procedure to be followed while recording confession, and the evidentiary value of confession. A brief recapitulation of what we have done in the previous lectures. Okay, we have done an understanding of the concept of first information report, in detail the concept of FIR, the procedure to be followed in FIR, the due compliance to be made while filing an FIR. Secondly, we have done an understanding of the investigation process after filing of an FIR. So what procedures to be followed after filing of an FIR has been done in the previous lecture, and the related procedures to be followed while filing an FIR, including the discussion on if in an FIR which has not been filed or refused to be filed by a police officer, what are the remedies available. The current objective of the topic of confession which we are going to study is the understanding of the concept of confession first. What is confession? How a confession is to be made. Secondly, the understanding of process of recording of confession. What are the due compliances you have to make or keep in mind while recording confession. And thirdly, understanding the evidentiary value of confession. So confession obviously is for the purpose of being presented before the court as an evidence. So what is the evidentiary value of that confession? A brief introduction. Confession is the admission of guilt. The person is accepting that he has committed the offense. So this is an admission of guilt, stating or suggesting an inference as to the guilt by an accused who is made in custody. So confession normally is made in custody. Confession can be before a police officer, before a judge, even before a private person. So on that basis, we have the bifurcation of judicial or extrajudicial confession. According to Justice Stephen, a confession is an admission made at any time by a person charged with a crime, stating or at least suggesting an inference that he has committed that offense. Okay, so confession can be a clear direct inference of the guilt of the accused. It can also be a suggestion that the person may have committed such and such offense. The concept of confession can be understood through the following lines. A confession is a statement made by the accused admitting his guilt for the commission of such offense. Thus, if the maker does not incriminate himself, so he is not suggesting that he has committed the offense, the statement will not become a confession. So, incrimination of the accused by himself of himself is required for the purpose of confession. Further, a mixed statement which even though contains some confessional statement will stand lead to acquittal is no confession. So a mixed statement with some doubt which will not lead to a clear uh, conviction of the accused, okay, may not be considered as confession. Thus, a statement that a certain self-exculpatory matter which is not true would negative the offense amounts to a confession. So it should be a self-inculpatory statement rather than a self-exculpatory statement. This is so because a confession must either as a whole or rejected as a whole. So if the court is not competent to accept only the inculpatory part, he can reject the exculpatory part, and sometimes he can still include the inculpatory part, where the guilt of the accused is clearly being shown. The need for recording confession. So what is the requirement? There are twofold requirements. So the need for recording confession or confessionary statements of a victim under section of a accused under section 164 are twofold. First is to deter the witness from changing his version or to deter the accused from changing his version subsequently. Secondly, to get over the immunity from prosecution in regard to information given by the witness or the accused under section 162. And then the reason for recording the statement of the victim, statement of the witness or the accused under section 164 is to minimize the chance of changing the version of the accused or witness at the time under a fear of being involved in perjury. Now section 164 in detail gives all the relevant procedures you have to follow while recording confessions. So section 164 first of all is divided into two parts: recording of confessions and recording of statements. Recording of confession of the accused and recording of confession of the witnesses. Clause 1 clearly says that any metropolitan magistrate or judicial magistrate may, whether or not he has jurisdiction in the case, record any confession or statement made to him in the course of investigation. So confessions are always recorded in the course of investigation. During inquiry or trial, the confession of section 164 specifically cannot be recorded or made, or under any other law for the time in force, or at any time afterwards before the commencement of inquiry or trial. So confession has to be recorded during investigation itself, provided that any confession or statement made under this subsection may also be recorded by audio, video, electronic means in the presence of an advocate of the person accused of the commission of an offense. So this is also an option before the accused for recording confessions. It is further provided that no confession shall be recorded by a police officer on whom any power of the magistrate has been conferred under any law for the time being in force. So though sometimes under CRPC a police officer can be conferred with the power of a magistrate, he does not become a magistrate for the purpose of recording of confession of section 164. It has to be a proper magistrate itself. Clause 2 further states that the magistrate shall, before recording any such confession, explain to the person making it that he is not bound to make a confession, and that if he does so, it may be used as an evidence against him. So this clear warning has to be given by the magistrate to the accused, and the magistrate shall not record any such confession unless, upon questioning the person making it, he has reason to believe that it is being made voluntarily. So voluntary nature of confession is one of the most essential requirement for recording confessions of 164. It simply means that while recording confessions, the magistrate should ensure that these confessions are not made under any kind of threat, promise or pressure by the police officer or some other person. So these confessions have to be recorded voluntarily. Clause 3 says, if at any time before the confession is recorded, the person appearing before the magistrate states that he is not willing to make a confession, the magistrate shall not authorize detention of such person to police custody. So if the police officer brings the person accused to the magistrate, but this accused person now says in front of the magistrate that he is not ready to make a confession, in such case the magistrate should not authorize further police custody, because the statement itself suggests that the police officer is forcing the accused to make a confession. So in such cases, either he can be granted bail, or the magistrate, instead of sending him to police custody, can send him to judicial custody as well. Clause 4 says, any such confession shall be recorded in the manner provided under section 281 for recording the examination of the accused person, and shall be signed by the person making the confession, which is the accused. And the magistrate shall make a memorandum at the foot of such recording in relation to the following effect. This is basically about the voluntary character of the confession. So the magistrate should clearly write, I have explained to the name of the accused that he is not bound to make a confession, and that if he does so, any confession he may make may be used as an evidence against him. And I believe that this confession was voluntarily made. It was taken in my presence and hearing, and was read over to the person making it, and admitted by him to be correct. And it contains a full and true account of the statement made by him. So this clear declaration by the magistrate has to be recorded at the foot of the confession after recording the confession of the accused. Clause 5 further says, any statement other than a confession made under subsection 1 shall be recorded in such manner hereinafter provided for the recording of evidence as is, in the opinion of magistrate, be best fitted to the circumstance of the case, and the magistrate shall have the power to administer oath to that person whose statement is being so recorded. So clause 5 is basically talking about the statement of the witnesses. Not this is clause 5, and coming clause 5 capital A is not about confession as such, rather statements being recorded by a magistrate of witnesses. So these are the requirements to be followed while recording the statement of the witnesses. Clause 5A further says, in case of offences punishable under 354, 354A, 354B, 354C, 354D, or subsection 1 or subsection 2 of 376, 376A, 376B, 376C, 376D, 376E, or 509 of Indian Penal Code, the judicial magistrate shall record the statement of such person against whom such offence has been committed in the manner prescribed under clause 5, and as soon the offence has been brought to the notice of the police officer, these recording has to be done. It is provided further that if the person making these statements is temporarily or permanently mentally and physically disabled, the magistrate shall take the assistance of an interpreter or special educator while recording these statements. It is further provided that if the person making the statement is permanently or mentally disabled, the statement made by such person should be used, which has been used with the help of interpreter or special educator, can be videographed as well. Now, a statement recorded under clause A of a person who is temporarily or permanently mentally and physically disabled shall be considered as a statement for the purpose of evidence under section 137 of Evidence Act. And such statement, such person who is making the statement can be cross-examined on the point of such statement at the same trial. Lastly, clause 6 of section 164 says that a magistrate recording a confession or a statement under this section shall forward it to the magistrate before whom this case is actually being inquired or tried. This is the transfer of the case file after the recording of confessions. Now coming to the evidentiary value of confession. Normally, confessions are considered as a weak piece of evidence, and hence it needed to be corroborated. So confession can be under pressure of the police officer or for some other reasons. So confession alone cannot be the basis to convict the accused. It is always a weak piece of evidence, and thus it needs to be corroborated with the help of other evidence is. It may be used to corroborate or contradict a statement made in the court in the manner provided under Section 157 and 145 of Evidence Act. So for the purpose of corroboration or contradiction, confession can be used as one of the evidences. The statement cannot be used as a substantive piece of evidence. So this is not a main substantive piece of evidence. This is a corroborative piece of evidence. But it can be used for the purpose of corroboration and can be used to contradict and cross-examine the person, which is the accused in the present situation of confession, the person who has made it. So these evidentiary points have to be kept in mind while dealing with the evidentiary weightage of confession. Coming to a very famous case which has laid down the guidelines to be followed while recording confessions by a magistrate. The name of the case, the landmark case by Supreme Court, is Rabindra Kumar Pal alias Dara Singh versus Republic of India, a very old case. Now the case lays down, or the Supreme Court lays down the guideline that the provision of section 164 CRPC must be compiled with not only in the form but in the essence. So the compliance of section 164 has to be taken by heart. Its essence and real purpose should be served while making a compliance of section 164. So not just in form, not just for the purpose of mere formality, confession has to be, the procedure of confession has to be followed to serve the actual purpose of confession. Before proceeding to record the confessional statements, a searching inquiry must be made from the accused as to the custody from which he was produced and the treatment he has received in such custody, in order to ensure that there is no scope of doubt of any sort of extraneous influence proceedings from a source interested in prosecution. So it is the job of the magistrate to ensure, while searching or inquiring about the duration of custody, the manner or the treatment he has been given in that police custody, to ensure the voluntary character. This will be the essence. This will be the center point of all the directions or all the guidelines being laid down by Supreme Court, that there should be voluntary nature of open court. So for the purpose, you have to remember these points and the references being made. Thank you.